I don't know how you feel about AI, but I would love to use AI to make my life and work easier. While I use ChatGPT regularly, and there are plenty apps that help you create images and edit photos, I am struggling with including AI in my daily business. If you feel the same, you are in the right session. Welcome and thank you for joining our session, Unlocking AI Potential, a human-centered approach to identify and define business AI use cases. I have here with me Karen Detken, strategic designer at the SAP AppHaus. Now, instead of going into details, let me hand over to Karen after inviting you to ask your questions in the chat. Karen will answer them after her presentation. Now, Karen, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here and have the opportunity to show you how to use the human-centered approach to define and create use cases for AI. Let me share the presentation that I have. Good. Good. So I'm a strategic designer at the SAP AppHaus. The AppHaus is a customer-facing innovation team at SAP. We are a multidisciplinary team of designers, enterprise architects, design thinking experts, and project managers. And our vision is to bring human-centered innovation to all of our customers. And this has taken us to create innovation projects with our customers, but also to help them to bring innovation in their organizations. But we are a team of about 30 people. So how do we scale? One way of scaling this approach is through the AppHaus network. This is a set of partner locations around the globe who also work using the human-centered approach and also do customer projects using this methodology. In another way that we scale is via the innovation toolkit. So this is a repository of human-centered methods that we have made available for free for anyone, any organization to run projects using a human-centered approach. And two of the methods that we have in this toolkit is what I will show you today related to artificial intelligence. The objective of these methods has been to help our customers think about artificial intelligence, start thinking about it not from the technology, but from the business perspective. So think about what challenges do they want to solve first. And because you have innovations, to have innovations that are really adopted, you need to think about the challenges you want to solve. You need to solve something that already exists so that those applications that you do get adopted and are also viable in the company. And that's exactly what the human-centered approach is all about. So the human-centered approach considers methods from enterprise architecture and also methods from design thinking to make sure that the applications that come out of it are feasible, so can be done with the technology at hand, are viable, that feed in the strategy of the company, and are also usable. So from a user's perspective, that solve a user need. And what we have found in terms of artificial intelligence is that our customers not only want to start from the challenge perspective, but they also want to learn what artificial intelligence can do for them. They need a structure that guides them to document their ideas and to come up with ideas that can be related to artificial intelligence to solve the problems they have. And the human-centered approach provides this structured methodology supporting the entire innovation cycle. So from the generation of ideas to the delivery of solutions. And it does that through through different steps. So the human-centered approach has different phases. And we start with the explore phase. In the explore phase, we we identify a use case with high business value. We have methods for that, and that's one of the methods that we want to see. We will see today. This use case that comes out of the Explorer phase is then detailed out in the Discover phase. So here is where we do user research to understand, okay, what the users really need. And we gather requirements, we analyze requirements, and then these requirements are transformed into functionalities in the design phase. There we create a prototype, and we also start to implement the solution either for a POC or for an MVP. And then in the deliver phase, the solution gets delivered to the company, gets implemented productively in the company, and then deployed at scale in the company. And so we have a different starting points for innovation projects using the human-centered approach. And this is where those workshop formats that I'm going to show you today play a role. So we have created the Business AI Explore workshop and the Business AI Discover Design workshop. These are entry points that you can use for engagements with artificial intelligence. So the Business AI Explore workshop targets one type of request, let's say, that we have from customers. So normally we have C-level managers or strategic decision makers that want to understand how the technology works. They want to explore opportunities with the technology. They don't have yet a use case, but they want to see what they can do, what use case can come out. And there we would do an Explore workshop. A second entry point, or next step as well, is the Discover Design workshop. This caters the necessity of having a process already. So when the customer already has a process, already has a use case, and they want to enrich it with artificial intelligence capabilities, then we do a Discover Design workshop. And this is, for example, requests coming from the business of a company that want to improve a certain process or a certain application with artificial intelligence. And so let's go to these workshop formats to show you how they work and how you can also apply them in your projects. Let's start with the Explore workshop. So this workshop format is 1 day in person, and we have also an introductory session of 60 minutes before. We also have a virtual version in Mural that is 2 half days. The goal is to identify business AI use cases with high impact for the company, meaning so artificial intelligence use cases. And normally we do this workshop, as mentioned, with strategic decision makers, and also the implementation team is normally there. The structure of this workshop is basically has 4 parts. So the first part is to get started with artificial intelligence. This is the introductory session where we show our customers a demo of how where we have applied artificial intelligence, and then we also send them a homework that I will show you. And then we have 3 parts. So we start with Explore Opportunities. There we use a set of cards to help our customers come up with ideas. Those ideas that are selected get described more in detail using a method that we call the use case brief that we will see. And then those ideas get evaluated using a matrix of business versus time to market or complexity. So in the first session, that is about 60 minutes after showing the customers a demo, we ask them, we send them these cards. These are opportunity cards that we have created. They show, or they cluster the different capabilities that artificial intelligence has, and they represent opportunities that artificial intelligence offers to the business based on those capabilities. So, for example, automate information processing and analysis includes all the capabilities related to processing information, like extracting information from documents, translating it, summarizing it, etc. Streamline content creation is an opportunity that comes up based on all those capabilities related to generate new content. So we know that generative AI can generate text or images and can also help editing text. So all those capabilities are there, and so on and so forth. So each of these cards contains a set of capabilities that are explained in the backside, together with some example scenarios that show how these different capabilities can be used in a certain context. So for example, this capability or this opportunity related to streamlined content creation can be used by e-commerce teams, so by product managers, to generate engaging and personalized product descriptions, enhancing online catalogs. And these scenarios and these cards are meant to give the participants of the workshop, show them what can be possible and inspire them as well. And one important thing in our workshops is that we start with the challenge. So that's also what I mentioned before. We start with a problem. And we asked our customers before they go to the workshop to tell us what are the things that they want to change in their organization or in the team they are, what process or activities they want to change, they want to improve, why do they need to be improved, what is not working, and also who is affected. And this gives us an idea of the different problems that they have. We analyze these different problems in the workshop and we select those that are the most valuable to solve. So for example, here, the process or activity that needs to be improved is answering requests about payment status and contract details in different languages. Why is this not working? Because there are too many daily requests and there's no overview of what is urgent, or different people answer the same requests in different ways, so there is inconsistency. And who is mainly affected? The customer support representatives, the customers, and the sales team. So this is an example of issues that we have received. And once we have analyzed all these problems in the workshop, and some of them have been selected, we ask the participants to move from this problem space to the solution space. And this is done through some exercises. So we ask them to look at the cards that they have already read, to select those that are the most useful to address those issues that they have selected. And then based on the capabilities that are in the cards, think about, okay, how can I use these different capabilities to solve those challenges that I have selected? In this case, for example, we formulate this scenario formulation sentence. We formulate this idea in one sentence. It says we can use AI to help customer service officers to identify the most urgent email requests based on their content, so that urgent customer issues get prioritized and CSOs can better organize their tasks. So here we are already showing, the idea is to show how you can use those capabilities to solve a specific problem. How do you imagine that would work? And what is the objective you want to achieve? These ideas get clustered or get selected as well. And the top ideas are described as a use case brief. So each of those ideas will be converted in a use case description that has three different points of view or three different perspectives. The business view is one that describes the value of the solution. So there we include who are the target users, what are the challenges that you're trying to solve with this idea, what are the objectives that the users have that need to be achieved with the solution, what is the business benefit, and how does the process look like, and which are the parts that you want to change with artificial intelligence. Then we have the technical view. In this view, we look at what's the data that you have, what input data is needed, and what output data and capabilities are expected in the solution, and what are the limitations. So what limitations of artificial intelligence are affecting this use case? And for that, we have a set of limitation cards that I will show you as well. And then in the ethical view, is basically a checklist of ethical risks that are based on the SAP's ethical handbook. So there are questions like if the solution uses personalized data that needs to be anonymized, for example, or if it uses automatic decision making, so that you consider always have the human in the loop. These are things that you should consider moving forward with your application. So maybe there are things that need to be changed to make the application ethically compliant. And as mentioned in the technical view, we look at the limitations of artificial intelligence. For that, we have created a set of limitation cards that show in the back and side. So in the front, you have the limitation, and in the back, you would have a description with some questions that help the discussion as to what if this limitation is something to be considered for your use case. So for example, produce convincing yet false answers refers to these hallucination problems, especially in generative AI, that large language models will produce answers that are not necessarily correct, right? Once we have those use cases described, they are evaluated using business value versus complexity matrix. And normally, those use cases that are the less complex but have a high business value are selected to start with. And this is the last exercise in the Explore workshop. One next activity would be the Discover Design workshop. So if you already have your use case described, if you already know what you want to achieve, then we do a Discover Design workshop. And here we look at the use case and we, together with end users, so here we try to have end users in the workshop as much as possible. We analyze the as-is situation. So we map the current process and we define a 2B scenario for the solution, how it would work with artificial intelligence capabilities. The format of this workshop is also 1 day, 2 or 2 half days virtual. And it's important here to have end users or people who know the current process that's happening at the moment and what challenges do the users have. That is very important. It's a smaller group that takes part in this workshop. But here, what we do is we start by analyzing the as-is, the current situation, mapping the current process. Then we ideate with another set of cards that I will show you. And we create a 2B scenario using those ideas with artificial intelligence capabilities. So how do we map the as-is situation? We start by looking at the experience that needs to be optimized. This is not necessarily the solution that has been described in the use case brief, but is the current process that we want to improve. So what is the process behind that solution that needs to be improved? So for example, in this example that we saw with the customer service officers is the customer request handling process. And we look at, okay, what roles are involved and what are the objectives of these different roles. This is information that can also be taken from the use case brief. And then we map the different actions that the users go through to reach a goal step by step. And we indicate all the systems and information that is needed to achieve those steps. And then we ask participants to mark, okay, what are the main problems that you have, and select them to define focus areas for improvement. And these are the focus areas that you will work on to solve using artificial intelligence capabilities. That would be the next step. So for the next step, we basically have broken down those opportunity cards into single capabilities. So each capability that is related to these opportunity cards has its own card. And they are at this level. So they are ideation cards. So we have a question like, what if your solution could describe visual content in words, enabling you to leverage visual data in unique and innovative ways? Or what if your solution could summarize any document, saving you time on reading? So these are examples of the front part of the cards. And in the back, we have examples of how people would use this capability in a certain context. So in this case, adapt information to any style or tone of voice. An example could be to adapt a legal document into a simplified version for non-legal professionals to understand. So the idea with these cards is to provide the participants with an inspiration as to what is all of the things they can use with artificial intelligence, they can do with artificial intelligence. And it's of course not a limitation, but it's kind of like a starting point that helps them to think how to improve their process. Once those cards are selected, so we ask them to select about 6 cards that would solve or help to address the problems that they identified in the ASIS process. We ask them to ideate how would you use those capabilities to solve those challenges. What ideas do they have? So for example, one idea is to write a tailored answer to the customer's inquiry with information that is found. And the prompt that we have for these ideation exercises to complete the sentence with this capability, the solution could, and then the participants would write as many ideas as possible for each of the cards. Then these ideas will get presented, and then the most useful ideas will get selected in the group. And each of these ideas, which is at the level of a functionality a functionality, a capability of the solution, will get described using this capability idea napkin, where we look at the input data that is needed. So based on what input data, what should be the response that the system provides, anything that is shown on the screen to the customer, to the user, and to trust the result I need. So this is a verification step that in artificial intelligence is very important, because our artificial intelligence is all about predictions, right? It's not a 100% accurate result that you get. It's about probabilities. And you need to, if you don't get a 100% accurate result or a 100% sure result, there might be times that when you want to verify that what the system has provided you is accurate, and probably you will need another information there in the UI to make sure that what the system provides makes sense. So once the participants have filled this in, and they also have created a sketch of how that should be represented in the application, we create a 2B scenario with those ideas. So we take each of these ideas and we create a story showing how the main user, so we give a name, we select a main character, how this main user would use the application step by step to reach a certain goal. So this is similar to the as-is journey, but is looking in the future. And for that, we use a narrative structure that helps to create as a story and that embeds it into a scenario, right? That can also be pitched later to stakeholders that were not present in the workshop. And what comes out of this workshop is something like this. We call it the use case blueprint. So we have the storyline. For example, in this case, it's about Sarah, who is a CSO in a travel agency, and she uses the application. She uses an application to go through her emails and to speed up the time it takes to her to answer the email requests from the customers. And so there are functionalities like summarizing the emails. She sees an urgent request, so the application has already categorized the different requests by urgency and by type and so on. And all of that is told in the form of a story. And we position the capabilities and the ideas that the participants had for the capabilities in the places of this process where they happen. And we also sketch some first screens on how this process should look like. And we look also at the data and systems that are needed to make these different steps possible. So what systems, in what systems will be the information stored? From what systems does the information need to be collected? And this serves, let's say, as a starting point for implementation. The next step after this workshop would be to create an architecture concept diagram where you have the building blocks of the architecture for the solution. And with that, with those documents, you can already start your implementation of the solution. So we have used these workshops. We have run this workshop several times with our customers. And we have about more than 50 workshops that we have done, and we have helped to generate more than 300 use cases with customers and partners. And one very interesting project that was done, that started with with two of these workshops, with both of them, is the timesheet task tracker. So this is an application aimed to help professional service employees, like for example, consultants, to record their times in an easier way using generative AI. So normally professional service employees, like consultants, they need to record the time every month. And during this month, they don't have so much time to go to the system and select in the calendar or select the hours they have worked in certain activities and so on. So what they do is normally to write down notes somewhere, and then they collect all those notes, and then they spend a lot of time at the end of the month to enter this time. And the time they spend recording their time is not billable. So how to make this process easier? And what this application does is basically so here the users write simply a prompt, the same notes that they would write somewhere else. They write them here saying, okay, I spend 30 minutes in a meeting with someone or for some purpose. And this text using a large language model gets shaped, gets structured in a way that can be sent to the S4HANA application that has the recording of time, where they normally do time recording. And then this time is recorded automatically in that application. So it's an interface using a natural language interaction that helps these users to record their time without much hassle. In this workshop, this project, we started with a workshop like the one that I showed you. So first of all, in the Explore workshop, this timesheet use case was identified as one of the most valuable ones. And then Discover Design workshop was performed to ideate what are the capabilities that need to be included in such a process to make it better. And a story was created that helped later to shape the application as I showed you. Another example of use and also of scalability of the workshop format is this Business AI Roadshow that we did with partners. This was an event that was done in multiple countries, in 6 countries. And there, it was meant for the partners to ideate use cases with artificial intelligence and also to be enabled on the approach. And so we had about 100 partners, about 200 use cases were generated. And about 37 of them were handed over to the Partner Co-Innovation Desk, which is a program that helps the partners to implement the use cases and also provides them some coaching in that regard. And another very impactful project that we did was with IBM, where we used the Discover Design workshop to together define an application, define the process for a new application using generative AI. And then they took this approach and they created 10 of 100 planned solutions using the same approach. So this shows the scalability of these formats that you can also use in your customer projects to come up and to detail out your use cases. So based on all these projects that we have run, there are certain things that have helped the customers the most. One of them is to have a simple starting point. So basically the cards that we provide, people have given us very good feedback about it. They provide a starting point as to what is possible with artificial intelligence so that they have an idea of what the limits are. Another benefit of the approach is the structure that it provides, the structure it provides to guide your thoughts and also to document them in a way that they can be reused later. And the business focus, because we start with the problem to solve and not with the technology itself. And we have also gathered feedback from our customers in terms of learnings of what you should consider when running these formats with your customers. So we have seen that in our workshops, we have people from different levels with different levels of knowledge when it comes to artificial intelligence. And these workshop formats need to cater for, so these sessions need to cater for those different levels of knowledge. So there are people who are very knowledgeable about artificial intelligence. They have created their own models, while there are people who have not tested it much. So it's important to have these different levels of knowledge in mind. Also, not all the use cases that come out of these workshops are generative AI or are artificial intelligence related. So we still, because we start from the problem perspective, we still look at use cases that can be done with rule-based computing, right? So we don't focus only on creating AI use cases, but these workshops are a door opener for the customers to ideate what possible solutions are there for their problems. It's also important to select the business area in advance. So if you have too many business areas in the workshop, the use cases that can come out might not be so focused, and then you might have to run more iterations to detail them out. Either you select the business area to focus before the workshop, or you have different teams working on a different business area, but you need to focus the use cases on one. Showing inspiring examples to the customers at the very beginning has been very useful, because the cards provide a certain inspiration, but when you see those use cases or those applications in action, that is even more inspiring. So in the introductory session that we do, we always show them demos. And this is also something that you need to have in mind if you run these workshops. The limitations that I showed you is something that is not good to show earlier. We want to always show the limitations at the end and not talk about the limitations of artificial intelligence, because what matters is what ideas do they have to solve problems in their company. And then the how is it going to be done can be adjusted later. So it's important to always introduce the limitations of artificial intelligence later on or at the end. Something that has been very, very useful is to include technical experts in those workshops, because they will know better if, for example, which of those limitations are affecting the use case, and what will be those use cases that can be as less complex so that you can start with. Also, for us, it has been important to give the participants time to understand what the technology can do. This is the reason why we do an introductory session before. And then we have some time for the participants to read the cards and then think about the problems they want to solve. And this has led to the best results. So giving them time to think about what problems they want to solve in advance. And one of the most important learnings is to start with the challenges and not the technology. So having this time to collect the challenges, give them time, give the participants time to think about them, and later analyze them together as a team in the workshop, that has been proven as being a very important aspect of this format. Good. So this material that I have shown you is available in the Innovation Toolkit. It's available for free, so you can download it, and yeah, you can follow all the steps. So all the steps are detailed in this following this QR code that you see here. There you will find the 2 workshop formats, and I think Tanya will also put the links in the chat. Yeah. And I don't know if there are any questions.
So here we go. I am in the process of hosting the first workshop, the Explore workshop. And give me a second, I will post immediately the Discover and Design workshop as well. And yes, Karen, we have questions. Let me ask the first one. How do you deal with situations in which the customer does not know beforehand about the scenario which needs to be improved, or is not able to come up with on their own with a scenario?
So in general, when the customers don't have any use case or scenario that they are really not clear about what scenario to move forward with, you would start with the Explore workshop. They don't need to know already what scenarios they want to move forward with, or have a clear idea of what the scenario would be, because the method guides them through finding those scenarios and finding those use cases, so that one of them or some of them can be selected later. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you. And then Alicia also asks, are these demos you shared in your presentation publicly available so that we might use it as well in our own workshop?
So the demo, so the application that I showed, the timesheet task tracker, that I think it's not publicly available. There is information about it, yes, that I can provide. What we have available, and that is normally used in the sessions, is the Email Insights application. That is an application created by another team in SAP called PAA. And this demo shows exactly the use case that I showed you as example, from a CSO working in a travel agency, handling emails and doing all this different help, using this application to summarize the emails and to categorize them, etc. So that application is publicly available, and you have even the code for it, so you can try it out on your own. I will, how do I best do that? Should I send the link to you afterwards, or how can we?
You can just paste it to me in the Zoom chat, and I will include it in the.
Okay. Let me. In the meantime,
In the meantime, I will also share your email address as
Mm-hmm.
we agreed upon beforehand. So if our attendees have any questions, feel free to contact Karen. So while you're looking for the link, let me ask the next question. So
Mm-hmm.
one question is, you shared two different workshop styles, and then the question is, when would you use the individual workshops, and how and where should I start? I think that is the question that many people ask. So how should I start? Where should I start?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an advice?
Yeah. So the first activity is to have so is to show the value of this workshop formats to customers. So get in contact with your customers, find out what they are looking for in terms of artificial intelligence. Normally, what we offer a first exploration workshop to open the door, maybe to also other types of use cases, right? So it's basically an ideation session for your customers, an opportunity for your customers to ideate solutions to problems they have. So find out maybe what are processes, what are areas in the company of your customers that are maybe they want to change, they want to improve, work more innovatively, and then you can set up a workshop with them to ideate on different use cases to start with. And because if you invite the right audience, so if you invite people who are part of these teams, they will have these problems, so they will be passionate about solving them, and that also um, gives kind of the motivation to move forward with a use case.
Okay, thank you. And actually, then the next question is actually even before that. So one step before, how would you convince customers to invest in this kind of workshop? Um, and what is the difference to a standard design thinking workshop?
Yeah. So one of the main benefits, I think, from following this human-centered approach, so not just from these workshops, but following this approach in general, is that you, in this whole approach, you involve the people that that the application is going to be for. So you involve those end users, or you involve, yeah, the stakeholders that are directly involved with the problems that you are addressing. And this creates a lot of adoption. Yeah. So when the users are involved in defining their own solutions, that makes them want to have them really like using them, because they gave all those requirements, they gave all those suggestions, and they want to actually yeah, use them. So that is a very good driver for, and that unfortunately that happens. So this realization of this value happens later in the process, right? So when you see those users really adopting the solution, and that's why at the very beginning of an innovation project, it's important to start with a small project that is maybe not that complex, and but has a good value if it gets done, in order to convince decision makers that this approach actually works. And this is something that we normally do. We start with an explore workshop that is free, and then they come up with use cases, and we take one as a lighthouse project, and then we show them, okay, this really works, and they see the benefits, they see that people are interested in that application, and then they want to move forward with it in the next project.
Great, thank you so much. I hope that answered the questions. I trust it did, and I
Yeah.
posted Karen's email. In case any further questions come up, feel free to contact us. No, there are no further
Yeah.
questions here. As I mentioned, any upcoming questions, contact us anytime. Happy to answer your questions, forward the questions to experts. And then I would like to thank you, Karen, so much for your excellent presentation. I really enjoyed hearing about those two different workshops. And of course, I would like to thank our attendees for joining us. And I hope you will have a great day, a great evening, depending on where you are.
Thank you. Have a great evening.